This video will show you how to take any old computer you have lying around your house and turn it into a password manager completely for free. But it also serves a secondary purpose of demonstrating a use case where NixOS might be useful. I think a lot of people online use it for things like managing what apps they have on your computer and their desktop environment, and that really doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't need NixOS to tell my computer to have Firefox on it. But when it comes to doing things like home labbing, NixOS really starts to shine and show incredible value. So everything I'll be doing is in NixOS, but the concepts should transfer over. A few years ago, my brother got a new computer and he gave me this old miniature Surface tablet that he had been using up until then. And it kind of sat in my closet for a good number of years, and now it's my home lab. It kind of just sits under my desk, and it syncs my notes. It acts as a password manager. It does database stuff for my website. Been really nice actually to use NixOS for this. The first piece of software we'll need is Tailscale. It's really magical. It's a VPN that lets you connect any of your devices from any network anywhere in the world as if it was like a local network. So that means I can SSH into my server when I'm hanging out in the Taco Bell parking lot or on my phone or wherever. So once you set up an account, you will get access to this admin console. It will let you kind of install Tailscale on whatever device you want, and then once you sign in, you will be connected and pop up inside of this admin console. So you can see I have a number of devices in here, some laptops, a desktop, my phone, a couple of e-readers even on here. Once you have this set up, what we're going to do is we're going to install Tailscale on my server. I can SSH into it on my local network, just like that. Once I'm in here, I'm going to switch over to my root account and move into the NixOS configuration directory. Once I am inside of here, I can open up my configuration, and I'm just going to look up how to install Tailscale on NixOS. You can see a NixOS wiki article pops up at the top, and there's a simple one-liner set up for this. So I'm going to just search for some other services to group this next to. Give it a comment, paste that in. Now I just need to rebuild my service real quick. Now I'm just going to switch to update my configuration, which will install Tailscale. Now that that's rebuilt, we can see that we've had some changes in systemd. To confirm everything's running, we can check the status under systemd. We can see that it is enabled and active. We're seeing some errors inside of there, but it doesn't look like anything all that serious. So what we can do is now run Tailscale login. After clicking that, should be prompted to log in. And connect. All right, and so now we've logged in with Tailscale, and we can see now our device shows up under here. Next, we need to add Bitwarden, which is an open source backend that works with all of the Bitwarden plugins. So we can just look up how to install that on NixOS. And they have an example configuration, which I'm just going to copy over. I'm going to find a good place to insert this. All right, now there's a couple of things in here that we don't need right off the bat. First off, everything to do with the mail server isn't really needed. Then I'm also going to change the signups allowed to true. so we can set up an account once we have everything running. Then we're going to update this domain to match the domain we're going to access our server through. And this ties back into Tailscale. So under Tailscale, we can click on this DNS tab to enable this thing called Magic DNS. And that'll give us a DNS address for each of the devices on our Tailscale network. So going back to our machines, and if I find my Surface server, I see that I've got a full domain right here, which I'm going to copy and paste in here. And then I'm also going to append HTTPS to the start of that. And this is where our server will expect to get requests through. Finally, we need an environment file that holds an admin token that isn't going to be added to like the Git history of our NixOS config. This is important just because of security reasons, but personally, I like to keep mine underneath my NixOS config, mostly because then if I copy and paste over my NixOS config, all of the environment variables and secrets go along with it. So I've got /etc NixOS secrets, and we'll call this Volt, or maybe VW for Bitwarden, and then VW.env, just like that. Now we need to go and actually create this. So let's do that. I've already got the secrets directory set up, and it's git ignored for this repository. Now let's open that file up. And the one thing that we are going to need inside of here is that admin token. We can reference how this should look inside of this link they've provided here. So this is kind of an example of everything that can go in that environment file. Like we said, we only really want that admin token. So I'm just going to copy what they have here, paste that in. Then we're going to need to replace that token with our own. And so you can actually just look up like argon2 ID generator. And yeah, there's like a online one for doing it, which I think is easy enough. There we can see our output. Paste that in. All right, and now we should be ready to rebuild. Oh, and as you can see, we've got a syntax error. Oh, okay, we're missing a semicolon here. Now we can rerun that. As we can see, that's set up a couple of things, some systemd stuff, a Bitwarden service. Again, we can check systemd status for the for how Bitwarden is doing. We can see it's running, but I had some problems early on where it wasn't running. And if you want to check the logs to see if it has anything useful in terms of errors, what you can do is run journal.ctl, which should show you all of the output logs. And if you use -u, that's for users, and each systemd service has its own user, so you can just do that. And you can see this is the start of when I was first setting this up, and I typed in the name of the environment file wrong, and that was the log that got output. So this can be really useful if you want to debug things. And then if we go to the tail of this, we can see right now we've just set up server and it is running at this port. So that all looks good. Now what we would do is I am going to you can port forward using SSH. So we're hosting on that port 8222. So if we just open an SSH session with that port forward, we should be able to go to that link, and it will pop up with a window to log in or create a new account. Obviously you will be creating a new account, but all of my data has been saved, so I'm just going to log in real quick. Alright, and here's what my vault looks like. I imported some stuff from Firefox, so now it's all set up inside of here and looks good to go. Now that we've done that, real quick before we move on, I'm just going to add everything to Git because we should have been doing that the entire time. Anytime we make an incremental step that works, it's always a good idea to like commit that change. Working Tailscale and Bitwarden. There we go. All right. The last piece of the puzzle here is a reverse proxy to let us communicate over that domain name that we've set up to those ports that we've opened locally on our machine. And Tailscale serve is exactly made for this. So I'm going to paste in some config, and this is where I think NixOS really shows its value. As you can see, I've created my own bespoke systemd service that will start up these two Tailscale serves. One is for that port 8222 that we were looking at earlier, and the other one is for 30112, which uses WebSockets to deliver notifications for BitLocker. And so this will run once on startup and only after Tailscale and our network are online. And so if we write this in and go and rebuild, now that that's completed, we can check if it worked by running Tailscale serve status. That will show us that, first off, there's the address that we are serving things on. It is running on Tailnet only. That's really important. That means that only devices that are logged into our VPN will be able to access this domain name endpoint. Which you want, because if anybody on the internet could access it, they could all go set up accounts on your Bitwarden, which is probably not what you were hoping for. And as we can see, we're serving these two ports. And the nice thing is that I'm not going to forget to do this the next time I have to set this up. If I switch this over to a different computer, or I just have to reinstall something for some reason, or if something breaks, I don't have to remember, like, oh gosh, how did I create that systemd service that isn't saved anywhere again? It's all done through NixOS and saved into that file, so it's going to be accessible the next time I do it and going to save me headaches down the line. Now that that's done, what we can do is we can start setting up Bitwarden. So you can install a plugin on whatever browser, your phone that you want. It's just called Bitwarden. And I'm going to quickly log out just to show how this works. So first off, if we grab this domain name right here, we can go into that plugin and we will just be able to set accessing from here, from bitwarden.com to self-hosted. This will ask us to paste an address. So there's that address that I just copied out of my server. That's saved. Now I can just log in with that account that I set up. Oh gosh. And as we can see, there we go, there's those same accounts that we were seeing earlier. If you ever have a problem with this, I'd recommend hitting this pop out into a new window. And you can hit Control-Shift-I for Firefox to open a console. And so if something was like broken or not working, like say you couldn't communicate and it was saying like error, couldn't find your server, you could open up the console and it'll show you like a lot more detailed logs of what's going on. Yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, let me know, or if you have any questions, also let me know.